Hi, I am Elizabeth and I will be your host today. I am here for Rheumatania. I'm sure that you've all heard about Rheumatania and that you are quite excited about hearing what is Marie's journey with Rheumatania. She's had a wonderful journey with Rheumatania. Let me
Thank you so
introduce.
much, Elizabeth. It's super to be here.
Thank you, Marie. Marie, I'm going to quickly introduce you because your journey before Rheumatania is also quite amazing. Now, Marie is a media strategist, not to anyone, but to visionaries. She's a speaker, a trainer, and a facilitator. She is the founder of Yahtzee Media Virtual Media House. Marie empowers professionals and entrepreneurs worldwide to share their visionary message in traditional and online media to create the impact that they desire and the profits that they deserve. He has ignited audiences with practical presentations, training and workshops, and here there's in Malaysia, in Taiwan, Oman, South Africa, and of course, virtually. Today, she hosts the League of Visionaries podcast and monthly media strategy for visionary events, all open to the public online. And I've subscribed to a podcast. I absolutely love it. In a members-only media strategy mafia, visionaries enjoy further support as they develop and implement their effective media strategy. Marie's trademark is what her audiences take home: unstoppable enthusiasm and bumper virtual goodie bags with hands-on next steps to take their learning further. Before setting out on her own, Marie created and developed professional development training at universities, colleges, schools, and government ministries in the Far and Middle East for over a decade. She holds a master's degree from the University of Leeds in the UK and is also a certified Google's Fundamentals of Digital Marketing advisor. She's a transformation coach, an NLP practitioner, a yoga enthusiast, and an undercover cool chef. We are in awe of everything that Marie-Therese has achieved, and especially her focus and her phenomenal growth through Rheumatania. In 1 year, she not only established herself as a successful freelancer online, but then she transformed a struggling online business into a successful venture. I'm trying to keep up with her on LinkedIn, but she is miles ahead, always working towards creating success for her clients and her co-workers. We are going to ask Marie-Therese 3 sets of questions to hear her story of this exceptional growth. Because she started the same way as all of us, thinking about the possibilities of online remote work, but not knowing where and how to start. Marie, how wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Elizabeth. I am always so thrilled to have a chance to interact with more people from Remotania, people who are interested in online remoting, but it's a special privilege to have this chance to be interviewed by you, because for those of you who don't know, Elizabeth is really a master storyteller, and she knows exactly how to put things together to really share a message in a way that has an impact. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Marie. Now, for those who joined after we started the introduction, I just want to remind you that this is a recording. So please switch off your videos if you do not want to be on the recording, and also mute yourself so that there won't be background noises and we can focus on the wonderful answers that we expect that Marie is going to give us. Now I'm going to start with the first set of 3, and these questions will be about aspirational goals, the route from 0 to success? Marie, are you ready for the question?
Let's do it. I really appreciated that I had a little bit of time to think about this, because these are good questions. And I think so many people thinking about remoting will really relate.
That's wonderful. Again, if you have questions, put them in the chat. If we have time and they are relatable, then we might ask that to Marie at the end, but not during the interview. Right, so Marie, what is your preferred platform to market your work?
I think most of the people who have met me and spoken to me will know that there is one that I advocate for absolutely anybody who is wanting to do business, especially with other businesses, and that is LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, because it is a platform that you can really make great use of for free, and it's one where you have all the attention of the search engines on you, there is a way to know who you're interacting with and to actually track their entire business ecosystem. It really is the platform of choice. So I can't say enough about LinkedIn. You might have to rein me in, Elizabeth, but there are other places to find out more about that. And so that's definitely my first go-to choice that can work for everybody. But my work as a freelancer really benefited from having a profile on Upwork as well. And in Upwork, if you know how to position yourself, and that's an art that I really only learned from Rheumatania. If you know how to position yourself, Upwork can be really powerful. And nowadays, even though I don't freelance so much anymore, having an Upwork profile means I actually occasionally wake up with an email in my inbox saying I've been booked for a consultation. And that consultation is my favorite product to offer, because it literally takes me half an hour to prepare, an hour to debrief the client, half an hour to put together an action plan for them. And it is a very, very rewarding experience that also can bring in repeat business. And it just drops out of the sky like that. I love that. So LinkedIn for anybody, but Upwork for freelancers, definitely.
Thank you. I see in the chat that there are people struggling with the sound. Don't worry about this, because this session is recorded and you will definitely get the recording in your email. Now, Marie, reflecting on the start of your online remote work experience, how did you feel when you started on these two platforms and had to find that very first client?
I had a strange entry point, and I had a little bit of a head start in some ways, but sometimes when you have a head start, you think you know things, and that's a very, very big mistake to make. It's much better to come into things sometimes with what they call in Zen a beginner's mind. And a beginner's mind would have served me very well coming into Remotania. But I had had a few experiences, because I actually opened my Upwork profile in 2014. And the experiences I had there were so hair-raising, with such unscrupulous people that were looking for really strange services. And also they were inexperienced clients, so they didn't know how to really manage that kind of interaction. So that was so off-putting that I just forgot about the account for years, until many years later, I thought, maybe it's time to give it a look again. And that was when I had to find my very first client. And I was lucky because I was very open-minded, and I did something that's maybe not very strategic, but that was just, I saw what's easy, what is the low-hanging fruit that I can pick. And my first low-hanging fruit was actually a program that develops a kind of a subliminal audio program. And they would pay me $50 for listening to their program for a week and then giving them a video testimonial. So I thought that's a good way to just get a foot in the door. And it turned out to be a lot of fun, but many, many, many negotiations. It turned out to be $50 that's not easy to earn. So finding that first client could be a stroke of luck, but it might be much better to really begin with where you are, begin with a skill you do have. It turns out making video testimonials is not my superpower, and I probably won't ever do it again. But it's right there at the bottom of my Upwork reviews still. Very first one.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I just want to remind people who entered after we started to please mute the sound so that it's not distracting for the interview. But welcome everyone who's here now. Now, Marie, you signed up to become a Rheumatanian to help you build your online success. As someone exceptionally knowledgeable about media strategy, what made you decide to do that?
That's a really good question, because in a sense, I should have had all the keys right there in my hand. I knew so much of exactly what the steps are to create online success, and yet I had not been able to pull it through to financial success. So I'd been able to do this with really good materials, things that had served a lot of people. And even in Upwork, by the time I joined Remotania, I'd had a significant contract developing an online course for a service provider who now sells each one of those programs at $997 a piece. So every time he makes my sale, and I gave him a really good price in exchange for my author's rights. So I'm not going to get famous from this, but every time he sells the program that I essentially built, he's getting $1,000. So he got a really, really good investment. But the reason why I felt that was not working was because I was not able to create sustainable success. And even with that significant contract, I found that I had bitten off more than I could chew. I somehow cracked the code of going from being rather low paid, because until then I'd only been doing content writing, except now for that video testimonial, right? Where after putting my face in front of the camera for money, I was not very keen to do that again. But after that, I was writing blog posts for clients, and this does not pay very well. But somehow I struck on this one, and there was an opportunity to make use of a strategy that would multiply the value of what I could earn as a freelancer. And that's a bit of a complicated formula that Mariana teaches very, very well. I'd accidentally struck on that formula, but what I didn't realize was that I'd now committed myself to a major project, and I had bitten off more than I could chew. And there's only so much that you can do with enlisting the kids around the neighborhood to start making graphics for you and getting your mom to proofread and all kinds of things like this. I could only outsource so much. So it was a very big lesson how not to become a victim of my own success. But now I didn't know how to go and replicate that sustainably. And yes, I had tried freelancing, but I was not earning a significant income. And I had an online business, but I really didn't have a clue how to make that work, and especially how to have stability. A business will always be cyclical. There will always be ups and downs. But I was at the point where it was feast or famine, and the most of it was very much on the famine side. So leveling out the feasts and also my energy as one human being was the challenge. And I saw that Rheumatania had a plan, because Mariana spoke about a step-by-step journey that can guarantee your success in a way that success actually becomes the norm, not the exception. And time and again, she'd shown that there had been success stories that proved this. And when I went to follow these people up online, I saw they really are doing what they say they are doing. They're doing well. There must be something in this formula. This recipe works, and I wanted it. So that was why, even with that experience and with that knowledge, I needed the pieces. And yes, Remotania was the commitment, because it is a commitment, the commitment that made it possible for me to really extrapolate the principles, apply them to freelancing and later to business.
Yes, so for those who do not know, Mariana is the founder of Remotania, and you will all meet her if you join the program. So Marie, what was your journey to online remoting? Tell us how it evolved to what it is now.
I always thought the idea of working online would be incredibly fascinating. And when the idea of the digital nomad lifestyle started hitting the common knowledge in the early 2000s, and books like The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss started coming out, I thought, this is what I need to do. This is where I want to go with my life. And I started putting many pieces in place, but I didn't yet have it there. Now, travel had been very important to me, and I really wanted to see the world as long as I could remember. So the first chance I had, I was on a plane to Taiwan to go and teach English. But it turned out I really liked this. I stuck that through for 5 years and then thought, maybe there's a way that I can take this further, because this was great, but now I'm on a 5-year treadmill here. What happens next? And from there, I saw an opportunity to go and teach in the Middle East. That led to the chance to study for my master's degree and then get more academic roles and then move into training and facilitation. So there was so much that suddenly was falling open, but I still felt I'm not quite on my purpose yet. I'm not quite doing what I would love to be doing. And I don't have so much freedom, because you become an academic and you're bound to your institution for at least 10 months a year. And Michelle, who's in our session today, who's an academic coach and a proofreader and a highly, highly qualified academic, will also agree to this. You get stuck in an institution unless you find a way to make it compatible to your lifestyle. So I was still looking for that key. And then life handed me a surprise. There was a series of incidents in my family that made it impossible to travel. So I had to come home. And essentially for the next 11 years, I became a caregiver for most of my time. Some of that time compensated, some of that time completely uncompensated. Sometimes I had a side hustle, but I couldn't really build my career in the way that I had before. And it was round about the time that Rheumatania started happening that I saw, well, I can have a sideline, but I need to start developing an infrastructure that can make the life I want possible and still allow me to honor my family's needs, take care of them, be available for them, and build my own career. And online remoting is the ultimate formula for that.
You joined Rheumatania, but you shifted your focus from being an online freelancer to becoming an online business owner. What role has Rheumatania played in that shift?
Interestingly enough, at the time when I joined Remotania, it was my business that I was most concerned about. Oh, and by the way, when I first heard about Remotania, I was #asking for a friend. I really had someone in mind who would benefit from this, and I dragged them in to come and watch the video with me, and then said, "Wouldn't that be great for you?" And they were completely lukewarm. And I thought, okay, well, I am going to take the next steps and start finding out more about this program. And eventually they completely lost interest. And I was the one who ended up getting the benefit out of it. But my plan had been to develop my business. But this made me see that, what do I already have? Because building an online business is like starting with a very, very small building block and then wanting to create something great, but none of it is there. You need to go and pull a serious rabbit out of the hat to have a business. And there are a lot of moving parts. It seemed to me that with Remotania, I could actually start building stability by freelancing. And at that point, I was so exhausted and depleted from all the demands of life and this extended family crisis that I was having and a legal battle that I was in. And all these things happen in life, right? There are times when we just cannot bring everything we want to the party. And the business idea seemed like something that was just outside my reach at that time. But freelancing sounded kind of workable. And that gave me the confidence to start there. And indeed, as the Remotania system promises, you go from one step to another. And each step makes new things possible. And if you play your cards right, and really if you follow the system, it works. It's that simple. It's not a question of, does the Remotania formula work? The question is, are you working? Because when you work the system, it yields results.
Definitely. But it's also not magic. It's a lot of work and you need to overcome struggle. So I'm now going to ask you this set of questions. I'm just admitting someone. Please remember to mute yourself to our guests. How to overcome the first hurdle. So this is my second set of questions. What were the hurdles that you experienced at first? And how did you overcome it?
My first hurdle is one that I think many people who are with us today will face, simply because of that is the way that life works. And that hurdle was so many other outside obligations. How do I step in, commit this little bit of time and make sure that there are enough results that I stay motivated? And part of those results where I was at the time meant being able to pay my bills, not even month to month, week to week. That was how serious things were for me. So being able to find that time. And my biggest obligation there, for some people, it is a full-time job. So in my case, I had a full-time commitment inside my family where I had to be available for caregiving for about half the week in 24-hour shifts. So we're talking like 68 hours a week. I know I'm not going to be available to work. In the rest of the time, I do need to sleep, eat, get some exercise, get dressed, and this kind of thing. So what's left, and how am I going to make the most of that time? So the first thing was really just harnessing the focus, carving out the time, whether it was very, very early in the morning or just a small pocket of time in the day. And the next thing was actually something that so many of us need to do. And I see we have a lot of women here today. We have a lot of women in Rheumatania. For those of us who have a role in our family, ask for help. We deserve to have the support that we need. And whether it is finding someone else in the house who's going to take over cooking a meal, or if it is teaching the kids or the people who are involved how to do more things for themselves, you're doing them a favor, by the way. It's not being a bad mom. It's actually really empowering your kids to help them take control of their own lives. And then what about help? What about getting other help? Whether it's someone in the community that you can do a trade with, or whether it's finding somebody who can come and take some of the work, some of the burdens off your shoulders so that you will be free. Because the fact is, if you're a professional, you can probably command much higher rates if you are succeeding than what somebody who will come in and help you clean or help you cook or help you take care of your kids or help you with other obligations can command. So you can actually make a profit if you're willing to set that aside. And if you can't do it with money, make an agreement that makes it agreeable for everybody. Find somebody, because there are people out there who are bored, who want to help you. And if you can give them that opportunity, you will be liberated to go and do that work. So that was literally the very, very biggest thing to me, because if you can't put a little bit of time and absolute focus into it for a few hours a week, you won't make it. That was the greatest help for me.
Yes, definitely. So what other obstacles did you have to overcome on this road to success?
There is something that I didn't even know how big an obstacle this was. And we hear many names for it, but I think we all deal with it in some way. And I can't give the formula to what changes it, but here's what it is. And I think so many, if you relate to this, just give us a thumbs up, or in the chat, let us know if this is you, because that is a lack of confidence. We call it imposter syndrome. We call it low self-esteem sometimes. Sometimes we even call it burnout, but not believing in ourselves. Yep, I see it. Not believing in ourselves is the biggest obstacle. And if you're, yes, look at this chat. Wow. So we're not alone in that one, right? But if you don't believe in yourself, how in the world is anybody else going to do it? And I think the biggest key to that is not saying, oh, I believe in myself. It's actually shifting the focus and finding, what is it that you believe in? Because chances are somewhere in the work that you do, you are helping other people, whether you are helping them to empower themselves, whether you are teaching them, whether you are giving them a service, whether you are helping them, as I do, to publicize their businesses or to get their visionary message out there. What you are doing is helping people. And if you can believe in that, and you are the vehicle to accomplishing that, can you believe in yourself? That makes it a lot easier. That takes all the ego out of it. So it's not about being too big for your boots or getting an inflated ego or anything like this, or even hyping yourself up. It's really seeing we are the vehicle for this really important purpose that we have to fulfill in the world. And if we can believe in that, we can have that faith in ourselves. So that was the one thing inside myself. And the other one we're going to get around to in other questions of yours, I think, Elizabeth, but that is thinking I can do it alone, because you can't. You certainly cannot. I tried it alone. I failed alone spectacularly. And if you're just willing to ask for the help and go and see the role of others in what you're doing, that makes all the difference.
Yes, definitely. For me, for instance, cooking, when I realized how very good my husband is at cooking and that he loves it, my mind changed about trying to do that. So what are the current difficulties that you must manage to be a successful online business owner?
There's an interesting challenge I have at the moment, and this is a wonderful problem to have. And I think of the freelancers that we have in the room and the people who have already started their online businesses. You will probably relate to this. And that is that first you struggle to get the clients and you struggle to get the opportunities, and then you have a new problem. Now you have too much work. Wonderful problem to have, because there are solutions to this problem. And interestingly enough, Rheumatania presents us with one of the powerful.
It seems that the video on Marie's side is stuck.
So I won't let too many cats out of the bag here, but it really has to do with something that's known in Remotania as the prismatic business design. And that is, you don't have to be the one doing the work all the time. The difference between you as a freelancer who does all the work and has a ceiling on your earnings is very significant when you see what can be the difference with you as the expert who actually enlists capable freelancers from around the world, maybe the best talent, people who already have the skills that you've also trained to your hand to go and do the work you would have done. And that is the way to multiply it. For me, that is still a challenge. So that is my challenge, finding the time, but then also finding the way to enlist those people. Elizabeth.
Yeah, sorry, your video froze for a minute. So I hope that we got everything that you've said there. But we can edit that. When we send the video out, there are people asking in the chat. Yes, you will receive the video afterwards. What advice would you give your pre-online remoting self, the person who started this online journey?
There are so many things I wish I could put in a time capsule and send back. But I think the biggest thing is just take action. Take action with what you have. The thing that I did time and again was go back and take another course, go back and get another certificate. It probably isn't the key. The key to building your success is probably something you already have, and it might be a skill you develop. The secret is it might actually be something that you do so instinctively, so easily, so much for fun, that you might not even know how brilliant you are at it. But get started, take action, and take action with what you already have. It's much easier to pivot once you are getting started and once you have a foot in the door than it is to go over into an entirely new field and have to start all over again. Even if you have big plans, start with what you have and start now. There's not a moment to lose.
So problems can be overcome and you've learned how to cope with that, but there are always new obstacles and we have to learn to deal with that. So it's wonderful to be part of a community like Rheumatania. I'm going to ask you the next and the last set of questions, and these are more informative questions. So how much of your journey as a freelancer and now as an online business owner unfolded in a way that was planned? And how much happened because of hurdles or opportunities?
That's such a beautiful question, because that's really life's plot twist, right? I have to admit, to my absolute shame, I'm not as much as a planner as I would like to be. I'm really good at the big picture, big dream ideals. Breaking that down into smaller steps that can happen within the next 5 years, the next year, the next month, the next week, and sometimes even today. Today is a very busy day, so it's an especially tricky one, but that can be really hard. But I do think we know that whatever plans we make, they don't always work out the way we think. And one of the lessons that life has taught me is that the things that I thought were the biggest catastrophes and calamities were the ones that probably prepared me best for where I am at today. So I would probably still have had a very comfortable academic job, sitting somewhere in a university in a beautiful tropical country, and still not quite sleeping at night because I'm far away from my family, and because I still feel I'm not quite doing what I'm in this world to do. That is one thing I have to say I have not felt for a long, long time. I really feel I'm on purpose. And that is because life threw me a curveball. It was the challenges, it was the crises that actually equipped me with this. And another thing is just the resilience and even things like the leadership skills, the life experience of things that go wrong. But when it comes to opportunities, opportunities definitely are a big part of it. Remotania has been a massive part of that opportunity, but also being open to opportunities and having the door open. And this is why I'm such a big advocate for just being clear on what your message is and making it available to people. And that's why I advocate LinkedIn. LinkedIn is out there. This morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. and I saw that a very respected business owner within my wider circle was posting about a problem that he was having with his social media. And I had the perfect solution. Now, we can let opportunities like that pass. But when there's a door like that, why not? So by 5:30, he had an email with a video screencast in his inbox about exactly what he can do about his problem. And I do that for fun. That is the kind of thing I do for fun. And I think that is the key. Find the things that you really, really enjoy. So be open to the opportunities, because that makes the difference.
Sorry, I'm asking the audience members to please mute. If you're not muted, then I will have to remove you from the audience, and I don't want to do that. We don't want distractions in the background. Thank you so much, Marie. Yes, definitely. My son has watched a video and he's currently asking, not a video, it was the podcast that he listened to, currently always asks me when I complain about something that's difficult, is it a problem or is it helping you? So I love the idea that even hurdles can be to our benefit. But now I'm going to ask you something after I've told everyone how successful you are, this question might baffle people, but this is something that can be real. And I want to ask you, as an online remoter, do you still have days when you struggle to find clients?
I have not had a problem finding clients for a good while, and that includes before I started the Remotania journey. But there's a footnote to this, and that is finding paying clients who give me the work that I enjoy and that I can satisfy in a sustainable way can be a challenge. But I have to very, very honestly say that it's been a while since I've had to go out and hunt for clients. It's been more of a matter of how do I grow in a way that is sustainable? So that's more of the challenge at the moment. And right now, I'm in a very, very fortunate position where very often people say, we want to work with you. And I can say, I'm not taking new clients at the moment, but I do have a way that I can help you, and that is through my podcast, through my LinkedIn group that's called the Media Strategy for Visionaries group, where I share a lot of the information that people would get from me with much more support, but here they can get the core of the information and they can start taking the steps. And then with my Media Strategy Mafia online program, that means people can join the program, they can pay a small membership fee every month and get a lot of the value that they would from working with me. So I think coming through to a point where finding clients is no longer the problem is really exciting. And it's really not it's not a boast at all, because I certainly have been in many positions where there are so many people who want to work with me, but it's a difficult economy. They can't always afford it. So finding solutions to helping those people in a way that they can afford it and that I can sustain it is really fun. So I'm loving the membership program option, and it's a really good way to start out. In Remotania, in the business coaching program, that's one of the avenues that a few of us are exploring. It's just start a membership program and start serving people, but do it in a way that works. And that is where Remotania is instrumental, because doing this on my own, I would not be getting results.
I love the things that Rheumatania teaches us to do. We shouldn't give away some of the trade secrets. Do you struggle with imposter syndrome? You just talked about it, and you look so confident. So I cannot imagine that you can struggle with imposter syndrome.
I have had so many interesting conversations with so many people, and I think what I hear from many people and what I definitely relate to is it's a spiral. It's a spiral. The first time your imposter syndrome is there because you're doing something brand new for the first time and you really don't know what you're doing. The imposter syndrome is maybe not an illusion at that stage. But how do you get to the point where you don't feel like an imposter anymore? Well, the answer to that is action, taking action. So this idea of go and do it, that is the best way to get over that. Elizabeth, one of your great talents and your big activities is as a writer, and there's the wonderful advice to writers. A writer writes. And if you want to be a successful freelancer, if you want to be a successful business owner, a successful coach, a successful service provider in whatever you do, go and do it. And that is the first way to get over that hurdle of confidence. The next layer of confidence is actually being visible and being acknowledged, because I think we come from a society where, especially, and we have many women here today, for women, this is even worse. We're not really used to getting recognition in public. And the first thing we want to do is deflect the credit and like dodge the limelight and all of this. And it really is a confrontation. A number of the Remotanians who are here today have been in interviews like this, where you're the featured speaker and suddenly there's a video with you and your face is out there, and hearing that people are talking about your success when in fact You know, I think we all think, well, yes, this is massive success compared to where I was a year ago, but I'm still here. There's still so much more to do. There's a lot to stay humble about. But being confident in the value that we bring to others because we are doing it, because a writer writes, because a freelancer freelancers, and because a professional does what they do, I think that's such a good antidote to that imposter syndrome. Dealing with the recognition, dealing with the success, and being ready to step into that remains a challenge. And I think it's worthwhile to see that we'll always be on that spiral and at new higher levels. But let's take on the challenge.
Yes, being part of a group has helped me to overcome imposter syndrome, like-minded people, and that's why I simply love Rheumatania. So how do you market your services? I know that you've recently started a podcast, and I'm thinking that's brilliant. So tell us about your way of marketing your business.
I believe the best way to market your services is not to market your services. Because we are living in an era where we are so oversaturated up to here with all the people who are marketing and selling to us all the time. One of the most powerful ways that we can get our visibility is on places like social media. And what do we see most people doing there? They're constantly selling. So I hope that the most powerful way that I market my services is rather by helping people, by creating visible success for people, and having people talk about what I do. So that is so much more credible than my telling anybody, here it is what I do. But I do try to make it very visible that here is what I offer. And if people are interested, here are the next steps they can take. And one of those is with my podcast, indeed, the League of Visionaries podcast by my company, Yazi Media Virtual Media House, is there to showcase the amazing work of visionaries. These could be experts, professionals, entrepreneurs, and some of them freelancers who have a big vision out there in the world. And the audience is other visionaries, their potential clients, and investors. So on this topic of imposter syndrome and the limelight, I would feel incredibly uncomfortable, and I think it wouldn't be a good business model to just have my podcast talking about me all the time. But creating this platform for other people to spread their message is really exciting. And as a sneak peek, I can mention that the Remotania founder, Mariana van der Walt, is an upcoming guest on the podcast. So if you are interested in finding out more, that's the League of Visionaries podcast, and Remotania will be sharing the details on that on their platforms and email list in the coming weeks or so. So definitely something to look forward to. It's a rare opportunity to get to know Mariana and her incredible visionary message.
Marie, we have about 10 minutes left, so I want to get to some of the very important questions. Some of the audience of this interview will be people starting their journey as online freelancers or business owners in your field, media strategy. What advice would you give them?
Within the field of media right now, there is so much that can be done. But the fact is, most of the people who are going to want to work with you really want marketing. So it is incredibly important to have a sound footing in that. What's also worthwhile is knowing what is most in demand. So really, and this applies actually to any field, get out there and see what people are looking for. It might not be exactly what you want to offer, but go and take a look. Where is the balance between what they need and what you can give? And there is tremendous value in that. But again, a lot of the systems that Remotania shares in the course of this very, very rigorous program and through this community is an exponential boost to whatever business you're in. And in media, certainly, because you will learn exactly where the need is so that you can walk in and you know you've got clients consistently, sustainably, whenever you need them.
It's wonderful to hear. Now, for you as a new online remoter, you had to manage a mind shift from being an employee to being a business. How did you manage that mind shift?
I think I'd always been very entrepreneurial in every way, except for how to turn it into money. So in some ways that might have made me a terrible employee, but, but I've always really taken initiative and I've been very self-disciplined. But I think the biggest shift is seeing you are now the boss. And being a good boss to myself and a good employee as well has been one of the big disciplines, because yes, as an entrepreneur, you can do whatever you want, but you also have to face the consequences of it. So you can spend every day eating ice cream in front of the TV. Just be ready for the results that come with that.
That's such good advice. Would you recommend online remoting to a friend?
I thought you were going to ask if I'd recommend spending all day in front of the TV with ice cream. And, and yes, I do, but not every day. Online remoting, it depends on the friend, because it does take a certain kind of person to do online remoting successfully. And you do need to know that if you are self-disciplined, if you are very focused, or you're willing to bring in somebody to help you be very focused and be very disciplined, you can make it. But it does take determination.
That's wonderful. I've just watched the chat. They're asking if there will be a Q&A at the end. Please, if you have questions, put them in the chat. And if it relates to our topic, then we will definitely try to answer that question, or Marie will try to answer it. So my last question to you is, no, I have two more questions. The first is, would you recommend Rheumatania to a friend, and why?
You do need to be committed to get value out of Remotania. But if I had a friend I really cared about, well, you heard, this was how I got started, was asking for a friend. And I actually really believe that anybody who has the will to succeed as an online remoter can succeed with Remotania's system and formula, because all the information is there, but there's also this expert coaching from a real business strategist, an entrepreneur who is already living the dream. So you have that, and you have a community to support you that is extremely hard to find anywhere else. So would I recommend it to a friend, a real friend that I really care about? Absolutely.
I think this relates to a question that's in the chat. How do one obtain a remoter life coach, both practical mentor and personal? What would you say about that?
I would definitely recommend looking into Remotania as a way to get so much more than that. If you want to work remotely, it takes a lot of skill, but it also takes a lot of work inside yourself. We had so much feedback in the chat about people who say, yes, imposter syndrome, confidence, and even just the competence is a whole other area. I mean, if you don't have the competence yet, there's reason not to feel confident, because we need the competence to feel confident. And Remotania offers a brilliant combination of that. So there is all the content of really, really outstanding system to learn all the skills you need. Literally, the path to success is mapped out for you. But there is also regular coaching, and that coaching is the way to get individual answers, because information you can find in many places, but not everybody can help you understand, how do I use that information exactly for me? And in Remotania, you really have that expert guidance, and what I've often referred to as a bit of tough love, because it's not always easy to implement the information we get, but also the personal development, and the community there is priceless. So yes, Remotania is, I don't think there's anything that parallels what you get in this community.
So my last question, and this is something that sometimes people ask for job interviews, but I know that this question is important. Is there a question that you think I should have asked specifically to help new online freelancers or business owners establish themselves?
What is the secret to success? And I believe the secret to success is actually to help others succeed. That is consistently what we see in Remotania with the people who are achieving results. But look beyond that in the world outside that. And time and again, that is the pattern. When we are helping others to succeed, that is the key to our success.
Thank you so much, Marie. There are some questions in the chat. I just quickly want to go through them to see how I can help. Some of the questions would be something that you would ask if you joined Rheumatania, so we cannot give you that kind of advice. It would be best to join Rheumatania, and especially join their regular interaction in their sessions. So have you been inspired by Marie-Therese's success? Please give us a thumbs up and tell us whether this has inspired you. I am always very much inspired by Marie-Therese. We started the journey more or less the same time, and she really inspires me to also try and achieve so much more. So everyone in the audience that registered for this interview, and you would not have been able to join unless you have registered, you will receive this interview as a recording in an email. It will also give you the option to sign up for the Remotania Coaching program. So please check your spam folder. Sometimes it will end up there. And there will be an exclusive discount only for people who are here. But also then you have to sign up within 24 hours. So please check your emails. And you will also there receive information about Marie and her podcast. But I would also advise you to go and check her out on LinkedIn. Also check out the Remotania Coaching page on LinkedIn, because there you will receive valuable information, and also other people who followed this program and did some great success. So this is now the end of our interview, because I see that our time is up. Thank you so much, Marie, for coming to this interview with your wisdom, the things that you've learned in your journey while you've been in Rheumatania and part of the community, and also that you've started out in Rheumatania as a freelancer and then went on to the business part of Rheumatania. So you've experienced a few steps that some of the other people might not have experienced. And I think you have given us all the wisdom that you've learned from there without giving away too much, because I do think that it's wonderful if you really want proper business coaching, then to sign up for the program, because that will give you the step-by-step instructions of understanding what you need to create this kind of success. Thank you to everyone. I just quickly want to check the last questions in there. Thank you to everyone who enjoyed this session. I just quickly want to see, I don't see a question that I think I've missed, but if I did, then go to our page on LinkedIn and then post your question there, and then someone on the page will definitely be able to help you with some of the questions, or will refer you to people who would know better. Thank you so much, Marie, and thank you to our audience members. It was wonderful to have you here.
Elizabeth, thank you. It's always so good to be in your capable hands. It really does a lot for the imposter syndrome and, and any kind of nervousness. You have a wonderful way of helping every person you interview feeling confident. And yes, that is such a great asset. You are such a great asset to the Rheumatania community. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Marie. Yes, I love storytelling and I love hearing other people's stories. So that's why I love interviewing people. Thank you so much. I'm just going to stop the recording now.
It shows. Thank you.